At some point, like a few years ago, someone looked at me and thought, that girl's a wrestler.
From the Greek word cryos, which means icy cold, to the benefits of taking such a plunge, including but not limited to increased alertness and metabolic health. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm Jason Burns.
And I'm Danny Nucci, and I'm cold just listening to you. No, this is the What About podcast. Hello.
This podcast, this particular episode could not come at a better time because this past Sunday, my wife completed her first full marathon.
Congratulations, Kate.
Big deal.
That's amazing.
Me and the family camped out at mile 24, right at the top of a hill where it was like the last hill that she had to do.
Oh.
She got all emotional. We helped pushed over the last. I like to think that my being there really helped her finish that.
I think it did. Why? If you're going to make up shit, why not make up good shit?
Exactly. But we don't have an ice bath here, but she's having a hard time getting up and down the stairs, so we might have to go find one.
Well, have you seen that new Nike commercial?
No.
Oh, there's a new Nike commercial where basically it shows these people gingerly going downstairs and gingerly walking, and it essentially says, success is hard. And they're like I ran a marathon yesterday or something, so it's the same idea. Yeah.
Well, that is the legit truth because she's having a hard time getting around. It was in Newport, Rhode Island. Beautiful day. It was all things good. Proud of her.
That's nice, Jason. I love the proud husband. That's fantastic. Well, I just couldn't believe that Kelly wanted to talk about ice baths. I'm like, okay.
Once a week? I thought that was a lot. You think that's...
No, once a week doesn't sound like that. Sounds really reasonable to me.
I would do like once a year, maybe. Tops.
Maybe because I'm obsessive. I'm like, you can do it every day. It's on the schedule every day. You have to do it every day at the end of the day or in the morning when you get up. Like, I know there's people that do it every single day.
I was blown away by the once a week. Did you see me? I was like, whoa.
Well, when you've done a few cold plunges, like we talked about a little bit, you're like, you start thinking about it. You start thinking about it before, which is what I try to address. Like, do you actually? Is there that period of time where you actually contemplate it? She's like, no, I just jump in. I just go right.
See, I grew up in the 80s, and in the 80s, we had the cold plunge where your sibling was in the shower and you flushed the toilet, and that was the cold plunge.
That was the cold plunge. All right, well, without further ado, we're going to talk about her career and just her training and how fabulous she is, Kelli Berglund.
How's it going?
Good. Where are you? I always like to know where people are because we're in different parts of the world, me and Jason.
I'm in LA. What about you guys?
I'm in LA. Not so different.
Okay.
But Jason's in the woods. He's in the woods in Massachusetts.
I wish I was in the woods. I was literally like scouring Airbnb yesterday just to find a cabin in the middle of the woods and go. So I'm jealous.
I got 3 dogs, a cat, and 2 kids, so you might not want to...
Yeah.
It's not going to be very peaceful at Jason's, that I can tell you.
No, I'm like, okay, just me and my boyfriend, little getaway. That does change things, so.
Kelly, I got to say, my daughter, she's 7, and your gymnastics movies have been on in our house nonstop
Oh my God.
for, I can't even tell you for how long.
That is amazing.
Were you a gymnast? And because I see her like... in her gymnastics meets and in her practice, like she finds the performative elements of it. Like, was that something you discovered?
Yeah, I was a dancer my entire life, really. So I dabbled in gymnastics. I did, I think, what you would consider more acrobatics, which was like floor work. Like I learned how to do flips and things like that, but I was never on the balance
So gymnastics.
All portion of gymnastics. Oh my God, the beams, the uneven bars, like don't even get me anywhere near that. They actually brought in an incredible stunt double for actually both the movies, but primarily the gymnastics one. I had an Australian Olympic gold medalist as my stunt double. So it really made me look like I knew what I was doing. There were certain things though, when I could incorporate what I knew how to do, I tried at every moment to sell a little bit more. But the dance background helps.
I was going to say, little did you know that your acting career would also be an athletic career.
Yeah, I at some point, like a few years ago, someone looked at me and thought, that girl's a wrestler. And I got, I don't know how that stereotype came about, but I have had a lot of athletic roles, which is fun.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like they're like, all right, who could do this?
This small girl.
Berglund, let's get Berglund.
I love it. That was always really important to me, though. I started acting at a really young age, and anytime I could incorporate athleticism, dance, it was always the most exciting jobs for me. So it's now snowballed into what it is today. I don't know what's next.
Have you? Who does? Have you sat with a stunt coordinator at some point? And they go, "Hey, Kelly, you want to do this?"
I listen,
You don't have to say which project. You don't have to out anybody.
no, I respect people so much. I saw you had Luke Hawx on your show, and he's one
Who?
of
Just
those.
kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
He is one of those people that
He
I
scares
sat
me.
down with. He scares me. I love
He
him though.
scares me.
Uh, but I had to get very real with what I was committing to in doing heels, and he was like, "You need to like commit to this." He's the real deal.
Right, because if you don't commit, you can actually be more likely to hurt yourself,
Oh
right?
yeah, but that was kind of an issue with me. I so badly wanted to be fearless. I knew nothing about wrestling going into heels. And I so badly wanted to just give it my all, but there's a very big part of you as you get older that's not so fearless anymore. And he's like, I am going to break my neck. And I try to not think about that every time, but it's just releasing that is when it just was so much better.
Yeah, it sounded so much better when you were speaking to your representatives going, so this heels thing is going on. I mean, it's a great role. You play a wrestler, should be fun. You're like, sure, sounds terrific. And little do you know that basically, because we had Chris on the show. We had Bauer
I
on the
listened
show.
to his episode.
Yeah. And I was visiting, and if you listen to the episode, then I saw him in Atlanta. I'm like, "What is your schedule? Well, hold on, what is your schedule?" And he's like, "Yeah, so I'm up at early, and then I'm in the gym for
Oh
two
my
hours
God.
before I go and have these long speeches." And I'm like, "Wow, wow, you're earning your money. You're
Oh
really
my
earning your
God.
money as an actor."
That's exactly how it played out. I auditioned for the role. I knew I mean, season one at least, the wrestling isn't quite as heavy with my character, but I knew kind of a little bit about wrestling. They did have me go into a wrestling ring for my audition and work with a few amazing wrestlers.
Hold on, hold on, hold on. Let's pump the brakes on this one. I'm interested
Okay.
in this process. I
Yeah.
want to know what happened. So your agent calls, or your manager, someone,
Uh-huh.
your representative, whoever they may be, and they call and they go, "Yes, so here's the audition. This is what you have to do."
Yeah, it was just a very basic audition to start. It was reading some lines, going into an office, and
Oh,
that
it was
was
not
it.
tape. It was not tape. It was actually you went in.
No, this was back in 2019, so that's when real auditions still existed.
Sure, I remember
Um,
those.
so it was a very basic audition. I want to believe that in the character description they said might need athletic background. That would help. I was like, okay, I have that. That went well. First audition went well. Then I want to say it went right to like a chemistry read with Alexander, who plays Ace Spade in the show. And did that. That went well. And then I was told, okay, we want you to like it. You don't have to be an expert wrestler. We just want to know that you don't have two left feet.
So wait, hold on, because this is fascinating to me. I apologize. I don't mean
No,
to keep
it's
cutting
okay.
across you, but it fascinates me. So you have the chemistry read, right? And you know how those things are. It's like, all right, can we vibe? Does it work? Does everybody see it? And when it does, you're like, fantastic! It's so great.
Yeah.
Are you done? And then they're like, and you're waiting to go. Yeah, maybe this is going to happen. I don't know. I may have to look at moving to Atlanta.
Yeah, I want to say that I knew there was going to be a wrestling display at some point that they were going to need from me. I think I knew that going into the chemistry read.
Copy
Oh my
that.
God, this was like 5 years ago. I'm trying to remember the
But
timeline.
it's so exciting just to step into the ring, right? I mean, that's one of those things that not a lot of people get to be in that
No, it's not.
space.
It's exciting to
No,
you.
it's
It
exciting.
is so, oh my God. It like, even still, I get antsy just waiting to get back in a ring. And
Yeah.
I'm like, season three, let's go. I have ideas. I want to do this. It's just adrenaline filled.
Informed enough to be dangerous. Now you are.
You go into the gym and you're like not really feeling it, right? But
Yeah.
but then as soon as you get into the ring, you're like, all right, well, I'm in here now, so I have to bring
You
it.
hit the ropes a couple times and you do a move that like looks really cool, makes you feel really good about yourself. You're like, all right, pumps you up. So, but I mean, this has been a transformation. My relationship with a wrestling ring. It was non-existent. Did not know anything about it going into it. I just knew, okay, they want me. They sent me off to a wrestling ring somewhere in like North Hollywood, I want to say. and they set me up with these two amazing women wrestlers that said, okay, we have like 15 minutes. We're going to teach you like a little match, a little routine, and the producers are all going to come in and watch you do it. Go.
15 whole minutes, huh?
15 minutes. It was 0 to 5,000. Uh, but I think for like what they taught me, I was like, okay, like I can do this. I have no idea if I look good or not. There's no mirrors. I don't know. But I knew that I was like, just mind shut off. We're doing this.
Did they teach you how to take the fall first, Kelly? Because that, I mean, that's how you get hurt. It's if you don't.
No, there was no time for that.
Can I interrupt for a second? I'm not sure if it's those lovely earrings, but I think they might be continuing to hit you. I think
Are they
they're slapping
slapping the
a
little
little bit. Yeah, I was trying to figure out what it is. I thought Jason was like on his keyboard. I'm like, dude,
I should have known. Can you hear me okay with the headphones?
terrific.
It sounds okay? Okay,
Other than
great.
the intermittent clicking, it's fantastic. Go on.
Let's hear it. Ghost is here. No, it was looking back at going through proper wrestling training and learning the basics and then graduating to greater things. What they taught me in 15 minutes was kind of like unheard of. Looking back, I'm like, how did I squeeze all of that knowledge into 15 minutes, and how did they teach me that, and how did I just head first dive into that?
Oh, I have the answer. Oh, can I talk?
Yeah.
You have a dancer's background.
Yeah, that
Exactly.
helps.
To be able to assimilate information and then have your body do it is something that's been part of your life.
I'm so grateful for that. That's helped so much with acting, just the memorization, tactics, and
Flexibility, right?
oh yeah. So it has helped me so much with so many things. So I'm grateful for that.
Acting teachers are always, well, it's got to be your voice and it's got to be your body and it's got to be right. But when they talk about acting, you're like, yeah. All right, just hold on. How do I cry? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want to get to like the stuff, and yet when you actually do it, it really is all those things. All those
Yeah.
things are so important. It's so funny.
It's a million different things. Yes.
Well, Kelly, let's go back to the earliest days of your acting. I know you grew
Yeah.
up in and around LA. Was your
Mhm.
family involved in the industry, or in being that close, was it part of the allure?
No, it's I get this question a lot. I grew up in Moore Park, essentially. I was born in San Luis Obispo and then moved to like the Camarillo, Thousand Oaks, Moore Park area when I was pretty young.
For those that don't know, you're not coming to LA if you're in Moore Park, and nobody
It's
in LA is going to
it's
Moore
far
Park.
enough.
Just for the record.
Not easy to go to auditions from Moore Park to.
No, but I
No.
did. That's what's so funny is it was far enough, and it was Moore Park is so suburbs, so like so not LA, that when people found out like, oh, you're an actor, you're going on auditions, it was kind of like foreign to them. Even though it is so close to LA, it wasn't that world. I have no family in the business. My dad is in sales. My mom has been a stay-at-home mom for the last many years of her life. Um, I got into it because of dance, actually. I basically was scouted as a 9-year-old doing a dance performance for a school production. It was nothing LA,
For a specific role, or from like an agent manager?
just for like an agency. Yeah.
Do you not watch Dance Moms? What is wrong with you? Have you not seen Dance Moms? This is what they
Not
do.
actually.
That
There's a
is-
9-year-old. There's a 9-year-old that can dance. Let
Yeah,
me talk
right?
to that girl.
She can do flips. She's great. And that was my party trick for many years was doing an aerial, like a no-handed cartwheel. That was my thing.
That's my daughter. She's got to
Really?
do it everywhere we go. Oh, we're at the library. Let's do some flips.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
how about
that was my thing. That was a hey, watch this. So it was that got me into acting, and I never really wanted to be an actress. I loved performing. Dance was my world. Like I was a perfectionist. I saw myself dancing forever. Um, so I obviously loved performance and
Yeah.
being on a stage of some sort. So it makes sense that I this kind of naturally happened, but I was also a really timid kid. So to this day, my mom says to me, I don't know how you became an actress. Oh, like on one hand, and also some of the roles that you've done, the fearlessness you've had to have, and the kind of not given any fucks to say the least. Like, I'm like, can I cuss?
We
Is
say fucks.
is crazy. because of the kind of child I was. So it's really interesting.
But at some point, you had to decide. You had to decide to move forward with it.
Oh
When
yeah.
did that come? Like, at what age did you say, "Okay, this is what I want to do"?
I when I was really young, I did very well very quickly, which like did not give me an ego, but gave me confidence. And I remembered I was testing for like feature films at a really young age. And I didn't really know what it meant back then, but I was like, oh, I think I might be good at this. And like my parents obviously felt like she might be good at this. And I wouldn't say there was ever a moment where I'm like, okay, career time, this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life.
Not even at 17? Not even at 16, 17?
No, it literally just felt like a natural uphill progression. I always had a really healthy relationship with acting. My parents, because they didn't come from this world, like we all kind of looked at it as like, this is fun. This is a fun, cool thing. Because it started with commercials. That was what I did a lot of at a young age, and then snowballed into television and film. But we always just had this kind of like fun, like, hey, like you go to school and then if you have time, we'll audition and just keep up with your schoolwork.
God bless your mother.
Oh
Jesus,
my God, God
your
bless
mother
them.
drove you to auditions from Moore Park?
Both my parents would drive me from
Holy
Moore
cow.
Park to
Jason,
LA.
they are
Yeah.
saints. You should thank them. This would never happen without them.
Oh my
What
God.
a commitment they made for you.
I owe them my life.
Now
Yeah.
I'm a fan of your parents.
I'm the biggest fan of my parents. They did so much for me at such a young age, and we were all navigating it so like together in a way where we
And there
had
was other kids, right? You have
I
siblings.
have a little sister who also put up with it, and she enjoys all the perks of it, like the going
Sure.
to
She
cool
likes it now,
sets,
doesn't
and
she?
she
Sure.
there's elements she loves, yes, but
Back then, she was just like, "Stop doing backflips, Kelly. Come on."
I just
I
keep
got to do
flipping
my homework in
dogs
the car
off of
again. I got to do my
backflips.
homework in the car. God damn it.
So, what age were you, Kelly, when Lab Rat sort of took off and put you on the map with a certain audience that made you very
Oh
public? And
yeah.
how did your parents help you navigate that?
I was 15 when that happened, and I don't think I even realized what I was a part of when it was happening. I look back now and I'm like, do you understand what that was and the impact that had? I'm so grateful for it, but I think because I always had this lighthearted relationship with it, I was like, oh, this is just like a really cool, fun thing.
It was one of those last shows that kids would come home from school and watch. I mean,
Oh,
that
it's
doesn't really
amazing.
exist anymore, but
Yeah,
my son's older than my daughter, and it was on his after school list of things to
amazing.
do. Is
I mean, just to be on a Disney show, period, was, I mean, the odds of that even happening and getting that opportunity is slim. I mean, the competition is crazy.
Surviving as a woman on being on a Disney
Oh
show as a kid is
yeah,
no joke either.
doing it for 5 years and then turning out somewhat okay. Everyone has their own experiences, but
Well, being able to transition to adult roles,
yeah,
that's the challenge, not being
yeah.
seen in a certain way, in a certain light. You know how the business is. They like to put you in a box.
But yeah, that is the difference now. And I think my generation of Disney was sort of coming out of that because I want to say the generation before me, like the Selena Gomez's and the Miley Cyruses, it was harder for them to break out, but they were also so heavily branded with Disney. Like they were the brand. And I don't think I was ever on the same level in a sense. And our show is Disney XD, which is a little different than Disney
right.
Channel. So
That's like the edgy Disney,
no
right?
one
That's what it
knows
was.
what XD stands for. I think it just is cooler and I don't know, edgier shows. I think the role that I played on that show helped a lot with my transition into other roles. And I think the acceptance of Disney kids moving into different roles was starting to be more normalized at that time. It wasn't as weird. So, and I think now too, with a lot of things being on Disney Plus, like it's all streaming, I feel like the crossover is really like there is no restriction anymore. But yeah, I was set up pretty well, and I mean, I really broke that mold when I did a show called Now Apocalypse that was just like the other end of the spectrum from Disney. But I'm grateful to where it's led me now, and I think it's been a really great path.
And so Heels recently made its leap to Netflix, Kelly. Have you seen its expanded audience reflected
Yes.
in what you're hearing and seeing? And I know you sort of touched on this earlier, but is there still hope for a third season now that it's
Oh yeah.
kind of moving around?
Yes. Well, to answer that question, yes. All of us are hoping every day that it gets picked up for a third season. I think as long as I'm told it's possible and it could happen, I am totally believing in it. We all believe in this show so much. I don't know if Chris touched on that at all or in his conversations with you guys, but
He loved it. I mean, it was a challenge for him, but he absolutely loved it,
oh
and he loved
yeah,
working with O'Malley, and it was just
he's the
he
best.
loved all of it. Yeah,
It is one of the hardest things I've ever done because of all the training, the physicality of it all, even just the emotional side of it. I've always done a lot more comedy, and this was very heavy drama. So it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. But I think I can speak for everyone when I say we are like a family and we love this show and we believe in it so hard. But to answer your other question, yes, the fan base is sort of wildly different than the fan base I'm
sort
used
of
to.
wildly different.
You
There
know,
you go. That's very tactful, by the way. That's very nice. Very well
you
done.
know what's funny is I was looking, I happened to be looking at like my Instagram analytics the other day, and it showed 18 to 24 female is my audience, and
Base,
I
yeah.
would say that's been pretty true just with the Disney and stuff. Like younger women are usually the fan base. But you look on like my Instagram comments now, or like when I go on Twitter and I see the people responding. Granted, heels is very much in the ether right now, but it's shifted, I would say, to like 30 plus male, which is wrestling fans. I mean, the wrestling fans are far and wide and are very different.
Committed. Talk about committed. You want to talk about committed?
Oh
There's a
yeah,
commitment right there. Wrestling fans. By
but
the way,
yeah.
you're speaking to one that's
Yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
wearing a
I was
hat.
gonna say, so what do I see behind you there? Is that
There's some wrestling
are there some
figures behind
wrestlers
me there,
behind you?
yes.
Oh
Here's
yeah.
what I love about it, and have always loved about it since I was a kid, much the same way that my son fell in love with lab rats. It's the storytelling, right? That's what it
Oh
is.
yeah.
And the showmanship of it all. And I mean, you must have had to not only the training, but learn the language. It's got its own language.
Yeah, it's been really fascinating. I knew nothing about wrestling. I knew who The Rock was, I knew who The Undertaker was, but beyond that, I did not know the actual ins and outs of wrestling and things that feel so silly. Are That's how it's supposed to feel. It's supposed to be this larger than life. Like when they told me about cutting promos and you're supposed to get on the mic and like say things in such an exaggerated way. I'm like, but that feels weird. And it's like, no, that's the point. We're
That's
exaggerating
the theater of
everything.
it.
Like
Yes.
it is
Yes.
theater, and maybe it's because I don't come from theater. Like I started very young in film and television. It's still a little bit of a foreign world to me, but it was crazy. Just the learning, and I'm still learning all the time.
Yeah, people want to hate the heels, and I mean that as the general word, not the show. They want to hate
Oh
them,
yeah,
but they want to love to hate them. So that over the
yes.
topness makes them love that hate.
And keeping up kayfabe. That's like the first thing I learned, and I think that's is that the title of our first episode of season one. I should know that, but there's just so much. It's not just learning the moves; it's learning how to sell the moves, and it's so different than learning fight choreography, which I've done also. I started doing that on Lab Rats, and that is so different than learning wrestling choreography because it has to be just as powerful as if you are actually punching someone, but never actually like making real contact. That like hard and soft line is so hard. It's so hard. But it was, God, like I said, I'm just like anxious to get back in the ring and do it because I reflect on my time there and I look back and I think, oh my God, I'd want to learn how to do this next time. And I think I could do this better, and I want the opportunity to do it. And now I'm consuming a lot of wrestling content as of lately. Like I should have read it sooner, but I just read AJ Mendez's book, who was on the show, which just got me re-excited about wrestling. Just watched the Vince McMahon documentary. I'm just like I'm still consumed with it, just getting more excited.
What about ice baths?
Ice
You
baths.
post about them on your socials. How were you first introduced to them?
It was through Heels that I was introduced through ice baths. Introduced to ice baths. And what's so funny is that season one, I don't know that I ever actually got in one. I was.
Was there talk of it on set?
Oh, we had
They were chirping?
one of those things where I'm like, why didn't I just like dive in and do it? But we grow and we change, and I was in my early 20s back then, so we're different now. But they on the Heels set built us a Heels gymnasium, which had full on wrestling ring as well as a full gym with weights, machines, anything we could ever want. And we were all training so much that recovery was obviously a huge part of that. And ice baths were very much discussed. So they brought in a tub, and our trainers would grab giant bags of ice. And it was usually Stephen Amell in the ice bath, if I can remember correctly. And I just was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna do it right. I gotta go to that. Like I just kind of like dodged it and didn't realize like the importance of it. I think it was more just this like hyped up fad thing. But then I started to do ice baths in my own time. I got introduced to them and realized how I felt after doing them, and learned more about all the benefits of sauna and cold plunging. And now I love it. And now I like have to do it once a week or
Once a week.
yeah, I'm
Impressive.
very lucky. I have this gym that I go to that has a full like infrared sauna and
Mhm.
3 different levels of cold plunges that I can go and just chill in.
Let's
And
talk about those levels. What are the levels? And
they are okay.
have to build up.
Yes, so I'm still building up my relationship with ice baths. They're
Okay.
set at 40, 45, and 50, I believe. I usually go for the 45. I haven't done the 40 yet, but I think the longest I stayed in was like a couple weeks ago. I want to say it was like 8 minutes or something like that.
Ooh,
First time I
Wow.
ever
ooh.
did an ice bath, though, I was in for not even 30 seconds before it was too unbearable and I had to get out. So
Now, do you do it immediately after a workout? Like, is that the idea to stop the inflammation as soon as you're done?
I do the sauna first. That's what I have been told, and that's what I have read up on, is that doing the sauna first is more. I mean, I don't know the actual science behind it, but I always do the sauna first for like a pretty long period of time. Then I go to the ice bath, and I think the best thing to do is 2 or 3 rounds of it. So I usually try to do that. And when I am out of that like final round of cold plunging, I am a brand new person. I am energized. And they say it literally like it gives you energy, it wakes you up. It's amazing for your muscles, for your body, circulation, inflammation. That's why I'm so addicted to it.
Here's what I think though, like when it comes to the sauna, like I like to cook.
Yeah.
When I take something out of the oven, I can't put that pan right into the fridge or it's gonna
Hmm.
crack.
You're like, so
Like
how
that's
is
how
it allowed with the
You know,
body?
that doesn't happen with the humans.
that's all I think about
No,
though.
that doesn't happen with the
I
humans.
think it regulates in a way that's supposed to be really great for you.
Well, it's interesting. Some of the studies I read, because I've read about it, and some of the studies I've read are like, yeah, it's good, it's fine. It's
Hmm.
like it's much better if you're really looking for health benefits and energy. Stick to vegetables, drink a lot of water. That's the main stuff,
Always
you
at the
know.
end of the day.
Right. It's like stretch. Get your
Yes.
heart rate up. Like those are the, and then the dessert or the garnish is the ice bath.
That's why it feels like a luxury that I even get to do that as often as I do. Oh my, I totally live by that. Like at the end of the day, just like eat your fruits and vegetables and like get outside and walk.
I just want to connect the dots here because that's what Hulk Hogan, a wrestler, used to say
Yeah.
in the
Oh,
80s,
I know
and
who he
you are
is.
you are
Don't
plugged
worry.
in.
Yeah, but I have heard that I think I heard this recently. You're not supposed to do it immediately after really like heavy weightlifting. I usually do it at the same gym.
Well, there's no danger for me because there is no really
No
heavy
heavy
weightlifting,
lifting.
so it's kind
Don't
of
worry,
all
don't
works
worry.
out for me.
I usually do it after I do Pilates, which I'm very, very big on right now as well. I love the low impact of it all, but I am sweating after a Pilates class. So that I feel like paired with the sauna and ice bath is a good,
Combination.
yeah. But I haven't done it after heavy weightlifting.
Have you ever done a Russian hot room?
No. What's that?
I
Okay,
don't even
so
know what that is. Explain.
okay.
I'm scared.
So no. There's a number of them in Los Angeles, but It's a Russian hot room, and basically it's a stone room that gets very, 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 very hot, and you stay in there very much like a sauna,
Okay.
and you sweat, and then you go right into a cold plunge.
That sounds great.
And then you get out and you go back in the hot, and you do a number of that. By the time you've done it 3 or 4 times, your body's going
You're like vibrating.
and you're ready. No, and then you literally you fall asleep. You like take a nap. You wake up and you're just like, your body is just like, thank you so much.
So that calms you down, because I feel so energized when I do that cycle a few times.
This is like the old Russians going, you'll know you. And because I remember, it's like, okay, so what do I leave? I started to leave after the cold plunge, and this guy goes, no, hot, cold, hot. Hot, cold, hot. I said, all right.
Ending with the hot. Got it. Okay.
That's what, that's what I have to go with the old Russians. They've been doing this for centuries, so I kind of roll with it. But it's not so much energizing as you're talking about ice baths. It's much more of a like
when you need that energy, that's when you go for that. When you just got to chill.
Well, I need that energy all the time. I'm not like, I just, how can I take a nap quicker? That's my goal.
I love heat. Like, I really hate being cold. I think that's why I dodged the ice bath for so long. I don't do well in weather below 65. I'll say it. I'm born and raised California. I'm so spoiled, I know. But I love heat. I crave heat. So I could sit in the sauna for 2 hours and just be so happy.
So I have a hot tub at my house, right? And so in the wintertime, the pool's pretty cold.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm in the hot tub, right? This comes to question. It's not just going to be about me, I promise.
But I love to hear it.
I'm sitting in the hot tub, right? and I'm looking over at the pool. I'm going, that's going to be cool, man. A nice cold plunge right after the hot tub. That'll be great. And I'm going to take a cold plunge right after
five minutes.
I'm going to 5 minutes. And sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. What do you do? So when you know it's ice bath day, or when you talk to the guys when you were doing heels, did you talk about the mindset that gets you in, or is it just like it's just human will? You just will yourself to do it.
There is no. I would go to say there is no mindset. You don't think. You just turn your brain off. Because the first few times I did do it, I'm like, okay, here we go. Oh my god, you have the timer set. Okay, let's go. Oh my god, all right, I'm going in. But now a lot of people do like guided cold plunges because they'll have someone looking at the timer. I love to just like walk in the room, set my timer, jump in, no thought. And just sit.
But do you go into like a zone in your head? Like, do you have to go somewhere to?
I take really deep breaths. I usually have music playing, which helps me not just sit in silence, like gripping the side of the tub.
Yes.
And I just sort of like, I don't want to talk to anyone while I do it. I think that just gets me more kind of amped up and anxious. So it's really just the calm of it is the mindset that I have to be in. That works for me. I don't know. Maybe some people need the like pump up motivation energy from others, but I
don't know about pump up motivation energy. I'm just listening to my head scream. Why? Don't know. You're fine. Don't go. It's going to, no.
I know that after doing it now, that after about 2 minutes, your body adjusts and almost feels warm and has this kind of warm little like cocoon around it. And I just know that when I get to that point, I'm chilling, honestly, literally.
Have you done any cryotherapy where you go into the machine?
Once, because they also have that at that gym too. I've gone once into the like cryo chamber where you put on the hat and the gloves.
What's the difference? Just for the listeners.
I don't know as much about cryo. I've only done it once. I want to say a big part of it is I think cryo's way easier. I don't know what the temperature was set to, but I think a big part of it is just you're not getting wet, which is a little more comfortable. Just going into the cryo.
Comfortable is an interesting word to choose when it comes to cryo, but go on,
comparatively speaking.
Sure.
But I don't know, maybe I should give that a go soon, just to compare now that I'm gathering up data on my cold plunges and analyzing them.
Well, would you do this, Kelly? In Massachusetts, where I live, on New Year's Day every year, people take the polar plunge and jump into the ocean. Would you do that?
I think I would do that now. Yeah. Just the experience of doing it and knowing that it's not as scary as I always thought it was. I think I would totally do it. I'm down.
All right. So listen, we have a listener question I want to ask you.
Sure.
I'm not going to tell you who it's from because I think you'll guess.
Okay.
In the role of Crystal Tyler, you took on a massive change in your physical training to prepare. During that process, at times it became grueling and difficult due to the intense training and how physical professional wrestling is. But you've always had a great attitude and gave 100%. What would you say was the most difficult part of the wrestling training? And was any part of the wrestling training more difficult than you originally anticipated? You tell me whose question is that's
This
from.
could be either like I want to say Chris Bauer, or it could be Mike O'Malley. It could be any of these.
Luke Hawks.
I could, yeah. Luke Hawks makes sense. I had so many. I mean, I guess all these people because they were all like such a support system for me during it and were really like positive forces in my life at that time. At a time where it was really difficult. Season one for me, I know I've said in the past it was one of the hardest things I've ever done, but truly I pushed myself harder than I've ever pushed myself in my life. I have grappled with fear being a big ruler in my life. Just as I've gone through my 20s and
You mean just
just
being human?
the human experience sucks
Let me
sometimes.
tell you something. I'm a couple of canoes ahead of you. It's just different
it's
fear. Fear still, but just it changes its
it's
face.
so interesting figuring out who you are and the kind of person you want to put out at work and with other people and connections you want to make while also having to do this job and learn an entirely new skill and still show up and know all your lines and still like all these things together. I do thrive sort of in not chaos, but just being busy and having work. So that was great.
A focused environment. Yeah.
Yes, but having to trust that I'm trying my best and these people are here to help me, and I get really in my head sometimes and just shedding the fear and saying, trust yourself, trust these people. You don't have to be so in control of everything and how it might look and what you think it should be like. Trust the process, trust because I mean I'm a perfectionist. If I don't learn something right away and it's perfect, if it's not perfect then I kind of freak out a little bit.
So
So
you would look at like your hip toss and say, my hip toss wasn't as good as it could be. I got to keep doing. Let's do 10 more.
and the thing is, like, I had people like Luke or like our other trainer Scott or my stunt double Taylor, who was always right by my side, saying like, "You just learned this 2 seconds ago. Like, it's not going to be perfect. We just keep practicing it. It's not going to look like Luke's hip toss. You know what I mean?" And but I wanted it to, because I'm like, no, I should be good at this, and there's pressure on me, and they're expecting me to know how to do this, and I'm not getting it right away.
Why it's only printed on television forever in the rest
No
of eternity.
pressure.
Right? You're only like the only female wrestler in this show at first season, and everyone's looking at your character like, what's gonna happen? What's she gonna do? So the pressure was on, and I'm glad that it was on because that's what motivates me to do a great job. But the learning process and slowing down and not just jumping to conclusions and saying, okay, it's perfect now, or I don't want to do this anymore because I'm not getting it right away, is a relationship that I'm glad I learned how to experience, because now I have a much different head going into it, and that's why I am excited about the possibility of learning new things, because I have a different relationship with myself than I did season one and with wrestling. And I mean, it's been 4 years since we first started that show.
When did you wrap on season 2, Kelly? How long's it been since?
That was that 2022?
Wow.
I want to say it was 2022, maybe 2023. But I like having a sense of control, but now I feel like I would go into it with a sense of control that is in control of, hey, you're okay. Not just like the control freak that wants it all to be perfect. So that, long story short, that was the hardest.
Yeah, I said earlier Luke scares me, but just in case he meant physically and exercise wise and training, yeah, just if we could just get that, that'd be great because then I'm safe.
Oh yeah, yeah. I all of it.
I love that she wasn't exactly sure who the quote was from, which I totally appreciate. I thought it was going to be obvious, but then I realized that no, Danny, you're wrong again. that it could have been a number of people.
Well, I do like how you pointed out as well that you're terrified of Luke Hawx and made it clear that she needed to answer the question.
We interviewed him. I that's one dude I would not mess with at all.
Luke, Chris Bauer, Kelli Berglund, they're all on the show heels. And I love the fact that she wrapped, I think she said in 2022, but there's still a chance for the show to continue. And now that it's moved over to Netflix, I love that about the entertainment world now, is that fans can pick up a show and keep it going.
Yeah, and also, the one thing that you never heard of before was things moving networks. Like, things move networks now, which was never the case before. So, and Heels is terrific. As we talked about, my buddy Chris is on it. And I just want to say thank you so much for listening. I usually say thank you for listening, but these days, just based on the comments that we've gotten and the response, I really feel the need to say thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it.
Music by Denny Nucci. Produced and edited by the same two people you heard hosting this show, because they have no friends.